Hello folks, it's Maddog Mervin. Welcome to Maddog's Adventures in Warhammer 40K. A new segment that we'll be doing on a regular basis. So those of you guys who like the Warhammer stuff and the minis, great. For those who don't, there's other content you can check out. So what we're going to look at today is I got these characters here, these assault intercessors, and they're fun because I can do all sorts of stuff with them. So there's 10 of them. Woohoo! What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make a couple of 5-man kill teams out of these. You'll see how that all works out. So today what I'm going to do with one set of these guys, I've got a custom color that I want to do. Now the Iron Snakes have a really cool on their snake on their paladron. Kind of a creamish white colored color, but also they have that iron, basically unfinished metal armor. I'm going to give them some paint. Yeah. And what I've been doing is I've been looking into some different colors and color schemes that I like. I've been doing some single Infernus Marines from different chapters that are just kind of a colorful little variety. But I needed a turquoise. And I got looking around at some of the others that were out there. I like teal, and I'll probably do a teal at some point. I know there's a couple of chapters that use teal. Turquoise is a little bit more difficult, but I've decided to marry the turquoise with the Iron Snakes, and well, we're going to show you how I do that today. So stick with me on Adventures in Warhammer 40K as I do a custom turquoise set of Space Marines. Now I know I make this difficult on you guys with the paints that I use, but it's what I have, it's what I use, so sorry. It's what you get. This is a color by Boyd, and it is like frost turquoise, something like that, that's long since worn off. But you can see it's this color here. You guys have seen me use this on a Mustang build before, at least, if not other builds as well. It's an enamel, so I'm not going to prime the Mini. I'm going to use this as my primer and my base coat, and it is going to be shiny. So I'm going to cut it with some lacquer thinner so that it dries quicker, and we'll go ahead and get it sprayed, and we'll take a look and see how it turns out. All right, here we go. I'll let it dry overnight. You can see it's nice and shiny, nice and smooth. This can be used as a primer and as a base coat. It is glossy. We will take care of that with all of the other stuff we're going to do to get rid of the gloss, but for now, there you go. I did put it on very thin. I thinned it quite a bit, not enough that it would run, but the way I sprayed it, I had to come back and give it two coats because it was, it was quite thin. So I'm okay with this. It's not exactly the color I want to wind up with, but you'll see how we get there in just a moment. Now that the base coat has dried, I'm going to take some Temple Guard Blue from Citadel and some Stegodon Scale Green, and I'm going to mix them together here. I'm not using my wet palette for this because of how I'm going to do this, and I'm watering it down quite a bit to make it into more of a wash. And what I want it to do is to get it into more of the recesses, but I'm going to wash it, well, it's more of a filter, I guess. I'm going to put it all over my power armor. Make sure I've got it nice and wet. Okay, and I'm just going to work it a little bit so that I try to cover as much as I can, but make sure that I'm getting it down into the low recessed areas for sure. I don't want it to dry into puddles. So I'm just trying to move it around a little bit. Down here in the feet. The idea is to give it just a little bit of a tonal variation to more of a teal from the base coat. And here you can hopefully see the difference. Okay, and once this is dry, which should be here in just a few seconds, I will get the black bits picked out. I'm going to do the crest in a gold, like a Retributor gold, or in the case of the game color, Glorious Gold. That's what I'm going to use for the crest, and we'll go on from there. Okay, so now I'm going to paint the crest on him. I've decided I'm going to use Glorious Gold from Vallejo, Retributor Armor is, or Retributor Gold, whatever it is, from Citadel, but it's kind of a darker, more reddish gold. Get my stuff together here. Okay. There we go. No, I'm not using my wet palette right now because I'm only using a very, very little bit. And it's not going to dry up on me. I'm not worried about that. Okay, next I'm going to, this is an optional step, but it's something I like to do just to protect some things. I'm going to use some of this matte Lucky Varnish from Ammo by MIG. Crusty off the top. Load it up in my airbrush. And give my mini a shot. No, I'm going to try not to puddle it. This is going to seal those colors in. Going to give me kind of a matte finish to the armor, so it'll flatten out the enamel that was on there. And the wash that we gave it, it'll help seal that in, because as you know, acrylics are very wimpy colors. You even look at them and they just kind of fall off. So I'm going to try and protect it so we can handle it just a little bit without rubbing off the color. So I've even sprayed the Imperial Crest, which is going to dull it down, but I'll show you how we fix that later. Now I need to paint the arms, the backpacks, and the paladrons. And I'm sorry to do it to you again, guys. I'm going to use another enamel. This is a good old-fashioned Floquil military color, so this is, you know, a good 30 years old. But I'm using Soviet sand. And if you have, you know, whatever paint you are using that, you know, is a good contrast. I like this. It's definitely an off-white with a bit of a cream color to it, and I think this is going to look really good for the other parts. So I've got to paint these paladrons. I'm going to leave them on. I'm going to airbrush this, of course, and the arms. I'm not going to do the helmets yet, but the backpacks, all of that stuff is going to be in this sand color. Here we go, quick and easy. Again, I just cut it with a little bit of lacquer thinner so it will flash off and dry much, much quicker. I mean, it's already dry to the touch, but I'm not going to take these off just yet. But you see, this is the color, and here's our little dude. Yeah, that's going to look, I think it's going to look pretty good as a contrast. The helmets, I think for the sergeant, I'm going to do gold. And probably for just the general, I don't know, just the general Space Marine on this. I think I'm going to go ahead and do a red helmet. We'll see how I like those. I do need to paint all of the leather bits. I'm going to start them with black, and the weapons I'm going to paint red as well. So I'm going to get going on that, which is going to take me a while. Okay, there's that. And as far as the main body, that's the only gold I'm going to use. However, for the peladrons, right here, and I'm going to go ahead and paint this on here, just easier to hold. And I'm going to do the edges of the armor. Now, particularly with my flocal paint, I did notice, not just because it's an enamel, but apparently because it's flocal, as I'm trying to put this acrylic on there, it tends to bead up just a little bit if I'm not careful, if I put it on too thick. So I just have to go back and kind of touch that up. And I'll go ahead and do the rest of these. We'll move on to the next step. Okay, one more step here in the crest. We've got it dried. It's dulled just a little bit. I'm going to take some of my Rust Effects wash, and I'm going to wash over my gold and give it that even more brownish red color, but this will go down into the low areas and dry in there, and it'll make it easier for us to highlight coming up. Now that that's all dry, and it's probably the best look I can give you right there, I'm going to take some old gold from Vallejo. Again, I'm just going to use very little bit. And going to lightly brush it on the highlights here. Kind of almost a dry brush. Almost. Just trying to hit the high spots. Like that. Alright, we're going to do a little edge highlighting here. And I'm going to use my Temple Guard blue. And I'm going to do this while the arms are off because they're a whole different color. So it should make it a little bit easier. You can see on this piece of armor here how that looks. Very subtle right around the collar here. I'm going to continue on and do the rest of this and then move on to the next item. Okay guys, here you go. Here's the finished product. I'm skipping ahead just a little bit here, but you get the main idea of what all I was doing. So I took this helmet from this month's Mini of the Month. He's an Emperor's Children Chaos Marine, and thought he's going to be perfect for what I'm doing here. So I went ahead, painted that up, gave him the red eyes, glowing red eyes, and put that on there. You see how the red turned out on the weapon, along with the plasma effect. I went ahead and did his sword in green. I put this black skull on this paladron to denote him from the first company of the Iron Snakes. Now, Iron Snakes are supposed to have a metal armor, metal colored armor with this kind of a cream color. But I thought, you know what, for the captain here, he and his escort are going to be in this kind of a teal colored turquoise armor. So there you go. See the power effect on the sword. And let's just give a little walk around here of the whole thing. The cape, I did two different effects on the cape. On the outside, I tried to layer it the best I could using a couple of different shades. But then I also did some stippling effect with a Mephiston red over the top. And I like how it turned out. Went ahead and edge highlighted the cape. And most of the rest of it here. Gave him a wash of that kind of a enamel wash that I have, that sludge wash. And I think he turned out pretty good. So I hope you guys like him. And take care. We'll see you again soon.